Hear, hear. Hear, hear. Hear, hear. Parkinson's Podcast. Welcome to the Hear, Hear Parkinson's Podcast, where you will hear from special guests covering the world of Parkinson's with a deep dive on the World Parkinson Congress and a look at how the WPC has helped make extraordinary progress in the Parkinson's community by creating space for people with Parkinson's to have a seat at the table.
Here, 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 here. We are back with another episode in the Parkinson Congress podcast called Here, Here. It's co-hosted by Eli Pollard and myself. I am Edgar Valdmanis. I'm one of the ambassadors for the upcoming Congress, and I'm so excited because we keep getting fantastic guests on the show. So again, welcome Eli, and very welcome our special guest today, Linda Olson.
Woohoo! We're so happy to have Linda with us.
Thank you. It'll be fun to do this. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good. You're actually on the board for the Congress, Linda. So how does that feel? And why are you on the board? I mean, you must have been.
And you can't say that I twisted your. You can't say that I twisted your arm either.
Yes, I can. I can say you twisted it and it came off. Actually, Eli very generously offered me this position on the board after I finished, I think, giving the keynote address or something like that in, it was
Kyoto.
Japan, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. And I was rather taken aback by that because I had never done anything with the Parkinson's community, particularly, other than what I'd been doing as inspirational speakers. So I was very honored to be asked to do that. And I've enjoyed my stay on the board. Sometimes I feel like I haven't done enough for it, but that's as it is. So it's been my honor to do that. It's an organization that I think is sorely needed and fills a role that no other organization does.
Right, but there are like a handful of congresses and seminars and workshops and what have you for us people with Parkinson. What is the thing that makes this Congress so unique?
Having my background is as a radiologist, so I've been to a lot of medical meetings in my career, and my experience with medical meetings has been that they are specifically for one group of people, and you don't never see another cohort of people that come in. And when I first heard that this was going to have patients, clinicians, researchers, paraprofessionals, I was kind of curious how that could happen because we tend to speak in a lingo that other people may or may not understand that fits our specialty. But to have a group of people that could be watching over your shoulder, whether you were giving a research paper or you were talking about topics that might not go over well. I just was very curious as to how this was going to come together. But after going to the first one, I was totally blown away. I will have to tell you, I'll tell you how I.
You tell your side, and then you tell your side, and then I'm going to tell how I remember our first conversation.
Okay, well, this is the way I remember this happening. I actually had not been diagnosed very much. I had recently been diagnosed as Parkinson's, and a friend of mine had me go to a fundraiser in San Diego, which is where I live. And I kind of went. She had to pull me in there, and it was after that meeting that I got this call or asking if I would be willing to be on a panel. And I said, no. I said, I don't know enough about Parkinson's. I, have symptoms that aren't very visible to anybody. And I think I'll wait on that. And as I recall this, Eli got back in touch with me and said, oh no, this is why we would like you to come. And she did convince me that she said, you've been disabled for so long and you show the resilience that we are hoping to show our patients with Parkinson's that'll be at the meeting. So I remember getting to the meeting and my panel was, I think it was Live Well with Parkinson's.
Yes.
And I was the little old lady grandma. There, sitting next to me was Brian Grant, who must be 8 or 10 feet tall. I'm sorry, Brian. I hope you are not offended by that. And I'm very tiny when I don't have my legs on. So that was entertaining. And then I think Tim Hague was there and Andy McDowell was that, I think that was the right person from New Zealand. I was so impressed by the other people that were speaking that it was a little intimidating. But when I got done, as the noon hour finished, my husband was pushing my wheelchair and people came up to us and started saying, my husband used to play golf, but he stopped playing golf. But when you got done with your talk, he told me that if you can do it, I can do it. And he's going to go back and play golf.
Huh?
And for the first time in my life, I thought, I have a message that I didn't realize. And I've been disabled I lost my legs and my arm when I was 29 years old. So I've spent my life as a radiologist and had a family and all these things, but I kind of put it in the background. When these people came up to me and said, if you can do it, I can do it, I thought this is a connection that I never made with amputees, because amputees are kind of, it's a mechanical issue. You lose a leg or an arm or something and you put on a prosthesis and you sweat a lot and you work and you learn how to use it. And I happened to learn how to walk with bilateral above knee prostheses successfully. And once it happened, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Parkinson's is a very different chronic condition. And you don't have the control over it that you have over some of the other conditions. So I walked out of that meeting being impressed by the way people ahead of me in this journey were dealing with it and how they were involved with it and helping each other. And I thought, I think I would like to be part of that. So there, okay, Eli, now I don't remember how you remember that, but that's
you got it. Actually, I do remember very much you saying, I don't really think I have much to share. Yeah, because my story is so new and people who have been experiencing Parkinson's a lot longer than me. And I really said, no, I really think you have something to share. And I also think the lineup on the stage was just wonderful because you're right. I mean, Brian Grant, retired NBA basketball player, and then Tim Hague, who'd won the Amazing Race Canada, and then Andy McDowell, flying in from New Zealand as the former grand prize winner for the video competition, a young guy. Like, you all had very different stories, but I thought it was a really nice complementary group of people on the stage, and everyone and anyone in the audience could identify with someone on the stage. But I don't think there are any other amputees that the Congress could identify with you as an amputee, but they definitely, unless I missed somebody, they definitely just saw your story and heard your story, and you really do inspire people because you lived from most of your life as more of your life as an amputee than not. Not giving away your age to people who don't know, but you've definitely lived longer as an amputee than you did with all of your limbs. And we sort of buried the lead. For people who don't know your story, they're probably like, what? She's an amputee. So now that we've brought it up, can you at least in a nutshell, I know that's almost impossible, tell our listeners sort of how you became an amputee and when that all happened?
I think I will cut in a bit here for all the other non-English or non-native English speakers here, because you keep banning about a word that says amputee, and then I listen, coming from a Norwegian background, say what that normally means this lady has lost half an arm or so. What is this? And then some places says third time amputee or triple. And I say, what? Story is very short. For all you listeners, Linda was in Germany, as far as I can remember, a car getting hit by a train, and she lost both her legs and her right arm. So that makes it 3 times amputee. Correct? Right.
Yes, that's true.
Good. We got that in context. And then the thing I experience with a large number of people is they try to hide their Parkinson's. They don't go to meetings in the Parkinson community, no meetings, neither the ones with medical speakers or the ones with totally not medical speakers, which we also sprinkle in from time to time, and they hide it. They are ashamed or what of their Parkinson, and then I say, we got this lady on here who has no legs, one arm, and Parkinson's. And I'm very curious, how do you keep your spirit up? And how come that you are not hiding away in your basement, never coming out, never speaking to others? What is it that drives you?
Well, let me take a step back because one of the things that I finally convinced myself I should go ahead and do this is I do look funny and I do things differently. And when I started watching people ahead of me with Parkinson's, some of the reasons they didn't want to be out in public was because they walk funny or they can't talk very well. So my talk involves showing a lot of slides, and it starts with the accident, which my husband and I were traveling in Germany when I was 29, and we stalled on a railroad track and got hit by a train. So my amputations are train track amputations. So I lost both of my legs above the knee and my right arm right below my shoulder. And I was taken to the hospital in Salzburg, Austria, where I had 5 surgeons waiting for me, and they saved my life, completed the amputations, and we stayed there for 3.5 weeks. We were flown home. My husband was in the Navy at the time, so we went back to the Naval Hospital at San Diego. And I had never had any other surgery, so I had meticulous care. Every advantage I thought of that I could have had. I took a year off from my residency in radiology and learned how to walk with prostheses. And oh, by the way, I got pregnant. And so we started a family after that. And it kind of gave me a purpose. So all the things that had been taken away from me, my legs, my arms, the things I couldn't do, running, swimming, scuba diving, hiking, playing the organ, whatever, I had other things to replace them with. So I learned from my experience as a young disabled person how I could take control of my life with my husband, which gave us a wonderful team. So I kind of brought that with me to the Parkinson's setting. And what made it click was when I would show pictures of us camping and me without my legs on and what we call butt walking along in the dirt and camping, and my husband carrying me on a backpack on his back up Yosemite and around up to the Zugspitz even. And we didn't hike up the Zugspitz, but I thought this is what we need as Parkinson's, because we don't want to be outside in the public when we're stumbling or we're not speaking well. And I'm to the point in my Parkinson's now where those are beginning to affect me also. So you asked me, how can I keep my spirits up? I often tell people I think I have the happy gene. And if you were to draw my blood, you'd be able to find that gene, and it would be nice if we could give that to everybody else. It works most of the time, but it doesn't always work. And those are the times that we all struggle. And those are the times we have to look around, I think, and look for inspiration. And I may look at Edgar and I may say, he's been doing this longer than me and look what he's doing. And that makes me feel better later in the day. There's a lot of other ways we work on. Each of us has found, whether it's exercise or it's a breathing pattern that we use, or sometimes we have to take a drug. But you learn, and you have to keep changing along as you go with this. This month it's one thing, 6 months from now it's going to be something else. So it's I kind of call it my game. I'm going to win this game. I can't do that today. Well, I got to figure out a different way to do it. So I guess I try to make it into something that I can not be always, I don't want to be discouraged by. So I look for things to help me get through those periods.
Good. I think that's a nice break in the show here. We will have a quick word from our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by two of our friends who are sponsoring the World Parkinson Congress, our friends at Blue Rock Therapeutics and our friends at Rune Labs. I'm excited to tell you a little bit about both of these great partners. Blue Rock Therapeutics is a clinical stage cell therapy company focused on developing cellular medicines for people living with neurological and ophthalmic diseases. Blue Rock's investigational cell therapy for the treatment of Parkinson's is currently being tested in a phase 3 clinical trial called Expedite 2. You can learn more about that trial and other things that Blue Rock is doing on their website at www.bluerocktx.com. Now, our other sponsor for this podcast, our friends at Rune Labs. Let me tell you a little bit about what they're doing. Strive PD is a free app powered by Rune Labs that uses FDA-cleared Apple Watch and iPhone movement data. Strive PD helps people with Parkinson's understand their symptoms, optimize their therapy, and stay connected to their care team. For premium access, Strive PD Guardian provides proactive coaching and personalized AI reports that offer support between visits, helping individuals improve quality of life and receive the right treatment at the right time. Download Strive PD for free on the Apple App Store, or you can visit their website to learn more and also download it straight from their website at www.strivepd.com today. I'm excited to say you will be able to visit with both of these companies at the upcoming 7th World Parkinson Congress in the exhibit hall, as they will both be exhibiting. Now, back to our podcast. Okay.
Okay, we're back again from here, the podcast leading us all up to the World Congress in Phoenix, Arizona, just a few months from now. Today's guest is Linda Olson. We just asked her how she copes and how she manages the day when she's actually a 3 times amputee and Parkinson's on top, whereas people like me have only in brackets there only Parkinson's, and she says she has a happy gene probably. How could we share that gene across Linda or Eli, if you like? How can we do it so that more people come out as Linda does
I don't
instead
know,
of
Linda,
hiding
what's
in
your
their
what is your advice, Linda, when people talk to you? Or do you feel like there are things that you can share with them that they could try that has been successful, and people come back to you after they read your story or heard you talk and they say, "Oh, I tried this and it worked." What's your tip? What are your
You
tips?
know, it's never the same thing, and I don't have answers for everybody. More than anything else, I think you just have to accept the fact that you've got something that is truly a big impediment in life. A lot of us stick our head in the sand when we get this diagnosis. I mean, I think I did for several months. I didn't let anybody know I had been diagnosed. I didn't want people to feel sorry for me. So, and I didn't know how it was going to start manifesting itself. Once I got around to saying, I really do have this, my acceptance, then I was able to start working on how I was going to deal with it. And
sorry, you
until you
broke up a
have
bit there,
something,
Linda. What did you say? Well, when you got through and accepted it, then
You just cut
it,
out for a second, Linda. Could you just say that again when you accepted it?
yeah.
oh, once you accept that you have something wrong, or there's a diagnosis that with us with Parkinson's, you have the ability to settle down then and say, okay, I've got a problem. Now I have to figure out how to make it work or yeah, make it work. So you take each problem. You don't take the whole disease. You take what you can't do today. What was hard to do today? Was it hard to feed yourself, or was it hard to write? Well, then you say, maybe I start dictating and I don't write as much. You take each thing one at a time if you can. And I tend to make things into a game. As a disabled person, I also know that there's going to be a failure rate. So every time I have a problem, I try to have a backup solution. So if I go to work and something doesn't work today, well, there's a backup solution to that. So um, once you've accepted it and you identify which problem is the biggest one for you, don't try and tackle them all at once because you can't. Try to do one thing at a time. And if it doesn't work, you try another way to get around it. So that was the second part. And once you get past that and you start innovating, then you say, well, let's see what I can do that somebody thought I couldn't do. So there's my kind of my game. I'm always competing with myself a little bit. But what makes it all work is, and I have to bring in my family and my husband, is the people that are around me. And I think you need to try and surround yourself with people that are positive, people that don't kind of say you can't do that, you're disabled, but people on your team that do something for you. I mean, if I can't do something because I am missing one of my arms, well, somebody else will do that for me. And as my husband taught me to say, do that with, what was gracious dependency. So you have to learn how to let people help you when you can't do things. And most of us don't want to do that when we're young. When you're 70, 75 years old, it's okay to say, oh, I can't do that. But I think all of us needed to learn that, yes, if you'd like to hold the door open for me, I would appreciate that. And let people help us.
People like to
It's
help,
like
actually. People
it makes
feel
them,
valued if they're helping someone, so it's okay. Yeah, I love that.
yeah.
Yeah. And sort of a parallel story here. We have the Norwegian photographer Anders Leines, who made the photo exhibition This is Parkinson 10 years back when he was diagnosed. Well, it's probably running on 11 and a half years now. But he made a photo exhibition. I think it was closer to 20 different Norwegians
And it was
with,
shown at the WPC in Portland the initial
yeah,
time, big screens of all the young people with Parkinson's in Norway.
Oh,
yeah, because his reason for doing this was that he was diagnosed, and lots of people in his network came out and said, "Oh, you got this old man's disease." And then I understood, A, it's not old because like in Norway, and just based on the small country with the stats here, we're probably like 15% plus that are in the younger age bracket, sort of below 55 at least, when being diagnosed. And B is not a man's disease because we're like what 40% female, 60% male. So Andrew said, no, it's not the old man's. And then I want to show the average people with Parkinson's, hence the photo exhibition. This is Parkinson. And then being reviewed last year, he made a follow-up called This is Parkinson's 10 years later.
Yeah.
Again, the main thing being we cannot hide. We have it. It's chronic. We're
You
going to
have,
have it for the rest of our lives,
yeah.
old or young, male or female. And I think your thing here comes on very natural. As you said, well, and it sort of sounds easy. It's probably very tough in an average day. Just say, well, if I can't open the door, then I will ask someone to open the door for me. But that is the way it is. If we don't ask anyone else to open the door for us, it will stay shut. I will be on this side of the door, and Eli will be on the other side. Uh, and we will probably never meet. But if I say, "Oh, Linda, could you please open the door?" You open the door. I walk in and there's Eli, and we have a nice chat on what and what, right?
Right. I love it. Linda, your story reminds me a little bit of somebody else who I know has Parkinson's, Soraya Martinez, who's a famous chef who was born and raised in Mexico and came to New York City and cooked meals for Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev and was very famous for her Mexican food. And she got Parkinson's, and I remember she's a not a tall woman. She's maybe shorter than me and like petite. And she ran a kitchen. She was the captain of that kitchen. It was her kitchen, right? She was in charge of the kitchen. And I still remember her once. She said this very famous male chef sort of was critiquing her cooking, which of course she didn't appreciate. But he said something to her like, I don't think you're big enough to cook in this kitchen. Like you're too small. You can't even lift the cast iron pan. And she said, I'm the boss of my kitchen. I don't have to lift my cast iron pan. I tell someone else to lift my cast iron pan. I have a team around me to do the work. I am the visionary. They're doing the work. But it is kind of like, I've always thought about that. Like you're the captain of your kitchen. Like you've got to have the people around you that are going to help you and do what you need to have done. And you can't be afraid to ask, or in some cases to tell someone to do something. And I just thought that's why she was amazing, an amazing chef. Also, she cooked delicious food, and she still cooks delicious food. And now her son, Aaron Sanchez, is on Chopped. He's a famous chef himself. And she always says, my son is famous, but I'm the legend. Um, and I do think that for you, I mean, I hear that. I'm curious because I've actually never asked you this question, but you were in medical school when you were in your train wreck, train crash,
I was
train accident.
after, I was afterwards.
It
I
was
was in my
after
residency.
you're in your
Yeah, I was in my
residency.
residency. Yeah.
And your amputee experience did not derail, or was there a period of time where you were like, can I keep doing this? Like you just went right back to finish your residency. Did you change? Like, were you always planning to study radiology, which is what you did in and breast imaging? Were you going to do something else and you were like, all right, I'm just going to pivot because this isn't going to work now? Like, how did that impact just your professional life?
Well, I've always said that I'm one of the luckiest people around because everything seems to work out for me. When we had the accident, Dave and I were both in the third year of our residency programs. He was a radiation oncology resident and I was a diagnostic radiology resident. So I only had 9 months left to finish before I would take my boards. And one of the very first things I said to myself when I woke up after surgery in the middle of the night was, you're a doctor. You can finish your radiology residency and you can have a job. What I also said to myself was, I don't know if I'll be married. I don't know if I'll ever have a family. I don't know anything else. Funny, but I had one thing I could hang my hat on because I knew, thank goodness, I don't know how lucky I could have been. I wasn't an OBGYN. I wasn't an ER doctor where I would have had to be standing all day long using two hands. I was in a profession, or going to be in a profession, where one hand and two eyeballs was going to get me a career. And so I just right away, I just felt like this is going to work. And the only reason it's not going to work is if I don't work hard enough.
Okay.
I felt like I had supportive family, I had a husband, I had a great education. I just had to work hard. And if I worked and sweat enough, it would work. And that's where I go back and I say Parkinson's is not quite like that. Parkinson's is one of these things that, once you get that diagnosis, your life is going to start a downward tilt. Mine as an amputee went nowhere but up. So I had the positive impact of, I'm in charge here. If I work hard enough, it will work. I brought that to Parkinson's, but it doesn't work quite the same way, but you still have to use it. So don't give up on saying don't, just because we don't have control of it, don't keep trying to work hard on it. And I think most of us, when we get the diagnosis, we don't know whether we should get the books out and study about it, or should we get one article out, read a little bit about it, and then wait until we get a symptom and decide how to go. I chose to be one of those last kind. I didn't want to know everything about it. I wanted to deal with it one step at a time,
Yep.
so I wasn't overwhelmed by it. So I think that's probably what has helped most. Now, the farther I get into this, I mean, there are days where everything goes wrong. I mean, you apathetic, you get jittery. And since I'm in a wheelchair, oh, see, there's another one of my positive silver linings. I'm in a wheelchair, so people don't know that I've got Parkinson's. And in fact, in the meeting in Japan, a woman saw me outside. She said, "You don't have Parkinson's." I said, "I don't." She says, "No, you don't look like you have Parkinson's." Well, I can wiggle around and I can talk and do everything. If I had legs, I would be freezing, I would be stuck, I would have all the symptoms that
Sure.
I don't have to show. So there's always a little bit of a silver lining. You have to look for it. You just have to say, what is my advantage here that I'm gonna let pull me through this? Don't give up.
I love that. One question, Linda, I've never asked you this. The surgeons that did the 5 surgeons that were waiting for you in Salzburg and that took care of you and got you back, I would say on your feet, but really not on your feet. It's a
Yes, they
wheelchair.
did.
Got you back on
I got artificial feet.
your artificial
Yeah.
feet. Did you ever see them again?
Yes, we went back 9 months after the accident. In fact, now we can't not figure out how we did this. We went back to Germany where Dave's parents were. His dad was stationed in Stuttgart because he was in the Navy, part of the NATO forces. We went,
That doesn't make sense because last time I was in Stuttgart, which is quite a while back, it still was in an inland city. So you said because he was
oh,
in the Navy, he was stationed in Stuttgart. I
he
mean,
was,
if we have Europeans listening in here and looking at the European map, they will say, yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, she's a fake. Yeah.
no, he was, I think now, I hope I'm not making a mistake here, part of the NATO alliance.
All
So,
right. Yeah.
yeah. So it was not just the American Navy that he was there for. Thank you for asking me that. Um, where was I going with that?
You went to see the
Sorry,
surgeon.
I broke off
Oh,
it.
oh, 9
Yeah.
months later, we went back and we did not take a wheelchair with us. So I was walking with my artificial legs by then,
Wow.
and we got off the airplane, we walked to the hospital,
Oh my God.
and when we went into the front entrance of the hospital, they saw us coming, and they didn't know we were coming, and we could hear them calling out to people in German, "The Americans are back." And we went in and talked to people, and they couldn't believe it. They said, if you had been from our country, you would probably not have opened your eyes yet. You have a different approach to life that I can get out and do things. So we went to Venice and we went to Salzburg and then went back up to Stuttgart. So 9 months later, we went back and saw several of the surgeons. And then about probably 3 or 4 years later, we went back and saw one more surgeon that there was one surgeon who was English speaking or had as a second language. And so he was the person we kept in contact. But the nurse that took care of us, we were in contact with her until she died. She would come over every year to San Diego and see us, or we would go to Europe and see her. So we kept our connections, and it was another one of those things that made us feel positive.
Yeah.
I've been back to Salzburg probably 4 or 5 times, and I would tell you it's one of the most beautiful cities in the world.
Mm.
And I
Yes.
see it as a positive place because that's where I was saved. That's where somebody did imperfect surgery and got me back on my feet again. So,
Yeah.
I love
Back
that.
on
Thanks for
it.
sharing that.
yeah.
Yeah. We are getting close to the finishing part of this episode. A couple of questions that we keep coming back to. But first, I mean, I started out this episode by saying what is so unique about the Parkinson World Congress. And you've sort of touched it without literally saying to the listeners. I would say the one absolute unique thing is that this is where patients and what we should call it, medics get together. At most other congresses, you said, well, it's only physiotherapists, or it's only surgeons, or it's only at the various meeting places. in addition to all the medical professions actually meeting across, we also include the patients, the people with Parkinson's, that they do not speak the medical lingo all the time. And I think that's also very, very healthy for the medical profession. Don't you, Eli? Saying that, hello, this is where you meet your patient face to face.
Yeah,
Instead
I
of just
mean,
you presenting a paper, you now have
yeah.
to do it in layman's speak.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely think that, it's the very beginning when we first started the World Parkinson Congresses, there were some doctors who would make comments like, I don't really want to go to a medical meeting with my patients. And I used to get, whatever, I bite my tongue, but I would say to them, when you're at the medical meeting, they're not your patient. They're just a person who happens to have Parkinson's. They're not in your clinic. You're not treating them. They may still be sitting a few seats away from you. You may treat them in the clinic, but they're not your patient. They're just a person with Parkinson's trying to learn about a disease that they live with. And I spent a lot of time sort of trying to change that mindset of like, you will learn more. You will be better if you are in a meeting with people who are actually living with Parkinson's because they're the professionals. I mean, they are the professionals. And when Dr. Fahn opened the first World Parkinson Congress, we worked on his opening notes and we agreed he was going to mention how people with Parkinson's were the professionals. So when he opened, he said, I want to welcome all these amazing people to the Congress, the experts and the doctors. And it was like very clear that the experts were the people with Parkinson's. And so once the people with Parkinson's heard how he phrased it, they all started applauding because they were like, yes, finally someone acknowledges that we have experience that's important and of great value. And I do think that it's interesting. I mean, Linda, you are a medical doctor by training for many decades, working as a medical doctor, training and teaching other people, but you do wear both hats and you have for a very long time. So I think you understood very quickly the impact of the meeting in a way maybe another clinician wouldn't have picked up on right away. But yeah, it just sets the WPC apart. And we've been doing it now for it'll be 20 years of congresses in at the WPC 2026. And it's just hard to even track and understand the impact of this because it's had ripple effects around the world that we can't even always fully comprehend. But yeah.
There's one other part that I just now thought of it, and that is that all of those doctors and all of the physical therapists and everybody else that's there, there may be one moment that they look around and they look at all of the patients and they say, what's going to happen if I get it? There's no way that any of those are protected from not getting it. So perhaps they can look at us as patients and say, I wonder what would happen if I got it. And it puts it in a different perspective, I think, for everybody, because we didn't ask for this. We didn't
No,
catch it. It's not an infectious disease, and we don't know why we got it. And it's going to affect some of the people that are up there speaking also.
I think
So
about it all the time, Linda. Like if I got diagnosed with Parkinson's, how would I be like Linda? Would I
yeah,
be would I hide away? Would I come out? Like I think about like how would I tackle it? You don't know until you're in it. You can think you know, but you don't know until that diagnosis comes in. But I do think about that. Like how would I be able to be this sort of focused? But I don't know. You don't know until you're in
yes,
it.
you would.
I think I would, but I never know. But I think I agree. I think people look around and they think, what would I do? How would I
Yeah.
be? They know this space exists, which is really important. So
yeah. Okay, we have two the questions that we always ask. I don't know if you've listened to earlier podcasts, Linda, but the first question of the two compulsory ones is like you're washed up on a deserted island, and there's over there, you can see it, that's a record player. And it sits there and you think, oh, a record player. If I had only one record to play on it, which one would you want
Oh, which
to
record
be?
would I want to have played?
Yeah.
or song.
Oh my goodness. This is really hard because I love music and I every morning I put on kind of classical music, and when we were raising the kids, and the evening we'd put jazz on. I don't keep up as well as I would like to, so my kids are kind of introducing me to more modern music. But I would put on organ music by Bach,
Oh,
or I would put on Charles Vidor Fifth Symphony on the organ,
Nice.
or I would play Sound of Music with Julie Andrews. So those are, was I allowed to give you more than one?
You just did.
ah,
I just did, so you didn't make me shut up either. So that's kind of the where I would go. Yeah, I think music is what that's one of the calming things in life. That's one of life's big pleasures is music. So thank you for asking me that. I didn't have one answer.
no, no, but that's all right. That's all right. The just a small aside here. There are actually a number of famous people, famous musicians, sorry, that have gotten Parkinson's. Recent people coming on is Morten Harket, the Norwegian, um, all best known as the lead singer of the band Aha,
Right.
which had a huge hit back in '85 with the Take on Me.
Yes, that's a beautiful song.
Yeah. Morten is a Norwegian and he came out officially back in June. So we'll probably hear more from him. Another one that I want to mention is Ozzy Osbourne, um, because he died just around the same time, wasn't it, Eli? May, June, something. And he had a uh, sort of getting back together again and then saying goodbye in the same concert. Um, with his band in Birmingham, it was, and they raised a phenomenal sum of money. I can't remember the exact sum, but it's worth Googling and looking up because it's split, if I remember right, between two children's medical sort of societies or hospitals, and the last third going to the Parkinson's cause
Mhm.
because he also had so that is good to know. Okay, very, very last question is you're riding the elevator, stops between two floors. Who do you want to be stuck with
In the elevator.
in the elevator between two floors?
Can I call you back on that one tomorrow? I don't know.
Could be anybody living alive, no time can space continuum challenge. Anybody at any space and time. Um,
Napoleon, Jesus Christ, whoever in between.
could be your 25-year-old self.
Yeah.
Uh, oh, God. I'm going to say Bach. I just somebody that did something that I would love to sit and listen to, but I don't know how I would speak to him. So that's not a good answer.
No
Who would I
language barrier. You can have, it'll be that
No.
kind of communication with anyone. Um, yeah, Bach is good.
Yeah.
That would be exciting.
You would. You would.
Speechless. I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer. Uh, Dave, who would I want to be stuck in an elevator with? I'm talking to my husband right now.
Hi, Dave.
Right.
Not me.
He said, not him. I would like to be stuck in an elevator with Eli. I'm
Oh,
not kidding. I'm actually serious about that. Eli is one of the most brilliant women I have ever met. She can remember everybody's name. She's always upbeat. She has ideas that never quit. That's the kind of person I would want to be around. I don't care if they're famous. It's just somebody that makes you feel good and somebody who is in charge and makes things happen. And that's Eli. So that's it.
That's nice. Thank you.
Good, excellent. I think that is a wonderful way to finish off this. We went a bit overboard on the time I can see here, but I hope that you are still with us, whoever you are out there listening to the podcasts. You can find them all on the Congress website, and I encourage you to do so. And in between listening to the podcasts, don't forget to sign up for the Congress itself. So very welcome. Thanks and goodbye. And a special thank you to Linda Olson, who was our very, very, very special guest today. And thanks to my co-host, Eli.
Thanks, Edgar. We
Thank
look forward
you.
to
Thank
seeing
you.
and meeting everybody in May of 2026 in Phoenix. Until then, stay safe, and we'll hopefully see you soon.
And listen in about our sponsors. And if you've forgotten who they were, do a sort of fast backwards on your browser and listen to the messages again. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Edgar.
Thank you for listening to the Hear Hear Parkinson's podcast. We hope today's conversation inspired you. If you'd like to experience the energy, connection, and impact of the global Parkinson's community firsthand, join us at the 7th World Parkinson Congress, May 24th to the 27th, 2026 in Phoenix, Arizona. Learn more at WPC2026.org. This podcast series is made possible with support from Blue Rock Therapeutics and Rune Labs.